This is the day we have been given. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. Good morning, everyone. I'm Mary Beaulieu. I'm Parish Committee Co-Chair, and it's really good to see everybody this morning. I want to especially welcome any newcomers and also to recognize that we have some folks here joining us this morning who I've just learned were former members of our congregation, and we are so pleased to have you back with us. Thank you for being here this morning. For anyone who would like to join our mailing list to get our updates and our newsletter, Carrie's just put a link in the chat. So if you're not on the list, feel free to sign up, and we'd love to have you join our community in any way that works for you. So today we're celebrating Valentine's Day just a little bit early. We're going to talk about what we love about our church. And taking part in today's service will be Carol Sullivan-Hanley, Alma Morrison, Richard Leach, Sarah Murdoch, and Damian Sullivan, along with our music director, Beth Dubison. Lynn Hare Sargent and Ellen Isley will be leading the service as Pam recovers from her surgery. And as always, we thank Carrie and Michael for doing all the technical work to make this happen. So thank you again this week to both of you. I invite everyone to stay on after the service for conversation. We're going to continue to talk about what we love about First Parish. Just to take a look at the calendar for this week, you'll see that we've got some of our regular stuff going on. And that's it for announcements for this week. So now we move to our covenant. At the heart of our life together is a promise of how we will be together. Our covenant expresses the promise, and we say it every week to recommit ourselves to live together in love. So let us now say it together. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to cherish the living earth, to seek truth in love, and to help one another. Each week we light a chalice named for the cup which holds the flame. The flame symbolizes different things to each of us, but always it is a sign of our gathered community. It is our practice when a member of our congregation dies to light the chalice in honor of the light which that person offered us. And this week, with deep sadness and with love, we are lighting our chalice in honor of Ann Weaver. And Ann's friend, Janie Colbert, will lead us in remembering Ann's light and light our chalice for us.
I think I'm unmuted.
You are.
Good, thank you. Good morning, everyone. As we light the chalice this morning, may we remember Ann Weaver, our longtime member and friend, who espoused and tried to live by our UU principles. She believed in the inherent worth and dignity of every person. She was open and accepting of everyone, finding something interesting and positive about them. She herself was interesting, intelligent, truth-seeking, a lifelong learner, a champion for justice, and a respecter of nature. She was a great listener, patient and comforting. She was very thoughtful, often delivering a magazine article, a literary quote, or a gift that reflected the needs or interests of the recipient. She was never boastful, but she did make evident her pride, devotion, and love for her family. Anne was fun to be with. She was mischievous, often with interesting results. She was adventurous. She never passed up a trip to anywhere. She made friends easily, valued each one, and was steadfast in those friendships. The list of her friends goes back to her grade school years. She never forgot, or excuse me, she might forget to have lunch or dinner or to wear her shoes when driving, but she'd never forget a friend. We forgave her when she was late, which was almost always. We admired her determination to complete a plan no matter the odds, even if it meant placing that birthday card about 10 o'clock at night, in the dark, in snowfall, in someone's mailbox. We appreciated her creativity, even if we thought it a little kooky at times. As a friend, Anne was like a four-leaf clover, hard to find and lucky to have. You don't get any more genuine than Anne Weaver. We appreciate the light she shined in our church when she was among us. May we now cherish the light that she has left within us. I'm going to light a candle, and I invite you to light a candle or a chalice. This is our chalice today. And you may light a candle or chalice as we think about Anne Weaver. I now invite you to join in singing Answering the Call of Love by Jason Shelton, verses 1 and 2.
And here we are again, answering the call of love. Sunday after Sunday, and many days in between, we come together to reflect on the questions love offers us, to discern where love is calling us, and to support one another as we, in our different ways, respond to love's call. This is the work of being a church. Today, we are offering our love back to the church, celebrating the ways this community helps us grow in our practice of love so that we can continue to answer love's call. Let's now sing the final verse of Answering the Call of Love.
everyone. I have a story for grown-ups and for little ones. This is called Rainbow Fish. And it's a story about a beautiful fish that has some shiny scales, but feels like keeping them all to himself to be beautiful. And then he recognizes if he shares them, even a few at a time, he starts to feel better. So here we go. The Rainbow Fish by Marcus Pfister. A long way out in the deep blue sea, there lived a fish, not just an ordinary fish, but the most beautiful fish in the entire ocean. His scales were every shade of blue and green and purple, with sparkling silver scales among them. The other fish were amazed at his beauty. They called him Rainbow Fish. Come on, Rainbow Fish, they would call. Come play with us. But Rainbow Fish would just glide past, proud and silent, letting his scales shimmer. One day, a little blue fish followed after him. Rainbow Fish, he called, wait for me. Please give me just one of your shiny scales. They are so wonderful, and you have so many. You want me to give you one of my special scales? Who do you think you are? Cried Rainbow Fish. Get away from me. Shocked, the little blue fish swam away. He was so upset. Told all his friends what had happened. His feelings were hurt. From then on, no one would have anything to do with Rainbow Fish. They even turned away when he swam by. So clearly, Rainbow Fish isn't thinking about others. What good were the dazzling, shimmering scales with no one to admire them? Now he was the loneliest fish in the entire ocean. One day, he poured out his troubles to a starfish. I really am beautiful. Why doesn't anyone like me? I can't answer that for you, said Starfish, but if you go beyond the coral reef into a deep, dark cave, you will find the wise octopus. Maybe she can help you. So he's definitely feeling lonely and left out and not connected to the other fish. The Rainbow Fish found the cave. It was very dark inside and he couldn't see anything. Then suddenly 2 eyes caught him in their glare and the octopus emerged in the darkness. I've been waiting for you, said the octopus in a deep voice. The waves have told me your story. This is my advice. Give a glittering scale to each of the other fish. You will no longer be a beautiful fish in the sea, but you will discover how to be happy. That's sage advice from the octopus. I can't, the Rainbow Fish started to say, but the octopus had already disappeared in a dark cloud of ink. Give away my scales, my beautiful shiny scales. Never. How could I be happy without that? So the Rainbow Fish is considering what the octopus said. Suddenly, he felt a light touch of a fin. A little blue fish was back. The little blue fish was back. Rainbow Fish, please don't be angry. I just want one little scale. The Rainbow Fish wavered. Only one very small shimmery scale, he thought. Well, maybe I won't miss just one. Carefully, the Rainbow Fish pulled out the smallest scale and gave it to the little fish. Thank you very much, the blue fish bubbled playfully and tucked the shiny scale among his blue ones. A rather peculiar feeling came over Rainbow Fish. For a long time, he watched the little blue fish swim back and forth with his new single scale glittering. The little blue fish whizzed through the ocean with his scale flashing, so it didn't take long before the rainbow fish was surrounded by other fish. Everyone wanted a glittering scale. The rainbow fish shared his scales left and right, and the more he gave away, the more delighted he became. When the water around him filled with glimmering scales, he at last felt at home and connected to the other fish. Finally, the rainbow fish had only one shining scale left. His most prized possessions had been given away, yet he was very happy. "Come on, Rainbow Fish," they called. "Come and play with us." "Here I come," said Rainbow Fish, and happy as a splash, he swam off with his friends. The rainbow fish realized by sharing some of the things he had, he helped and made happy his other friends and felt quite connected to them. I hope you enjoyed this story. Thank you.
That was wonderful. Thank you for sharing, Carol. Our anthem today, "Oh Music" by Lowell Mason, celebrates the rich diversity of musicians in our church and the support we receive from the congregation. We see Howard Matthews and Mark Matthews playing guitars and singing for our animal blessing service. Claire Sherman and beloved Ann Weaver, working with the publicity committee, got a wonderful article in the Situate paper, and the photographer managed to put me at all the instruments simultaneously, all the wonderful instruments I get to perform. You'll see our wonderful choir, Miles Jones violinist, Beverly Riley flutist, Riley Nita Sitko saxophonist, Wynn Lawson trombonist, Lily Duff flutist, Caroline Hine cellist, our new bell choir, members of our congregation creating music together, Michael Feeney, singer-guitarist, Moira Feeney, singer, and of course we can't forget our Blue Boat Coffee House, which supports wonderful community programs. I look forward to the time when we can sing and make music together in our beautiful sanctuary with the best acoustics in Situate.
Yes. Oh, that was so beautiful. Thank you. In our church, our practice of love is called ministry. Unlike some traditions, we don't just look to our minister to do the work of ministry. We understand that ministry is shared, that we each have our part. Gordon Bucky McKeeman, a 20th century Universalist minister, wrote this reflection about our practice of shared ministry. Ministry is what we all do together. Ministry is that quality of being in community that affirms human dignity. Ministry beckons forth hidden possibilities, invites us into deep, more constant, reverent relationships, and carries forward our heritage of hope and liberation. Ministry is what we do together as we celebrate triumphs of our human spirit, miracles of birth and life, wonders of devotion and sacrifice. Ministry is what we do together with one another in terror and torment, in grief, in misery and pain, enabling us in the presence of death to say yes to life. We who minister speak and live the best we know, with full knowledge that it is never quite enough. And yet we are reassured by lostness found, fragments united, wounds healed, and joy shared. Ministry is what we all do together. Here ends the reading. Let's move into our time of prayer and meditation now as we sing, There is a Love.
There is a love holding me. There is a love holding all that I love. There is a love holding all. I rest in this love. There is a love holding us. There is a love holding all that we love. There is a love holding all. We rest in this love. We rest in this love.
As we move into our time of prayer, I invite you to settle yourself. Sit comfortably or lie down if you like. Close your eyes or focus them on a candle or perhaps something living like a tree. Take a minute to breathe. Now, breathe with these words of Greta Vosper. Inspired by the hands of hope, working, healing, holding, sustaining, we gather this day to embrace the task that is ours. May our hearts be strong for the work we find. May our minds be open to the challenges it will provide us. May our bodies be ready when the call comes so that no one is ever left behind. On this promise we stand as those who see this world too clearly and yet would see it no other way. As Beth plays the music for contemplation, I invite you to share your joys and sorrows with one another in the chat. If you don't have anything to share, please read meditatively what others have written. You're welcome to respond to others' joys and sorrows. Join me in saying together our unison prayer by the Unitarian minister, Joe Barth. I invite you to repeat after me. We give thanks for being. We give thanks for being here. We give thanks for being here together. Today in our service, we celebrate the ways we are here together for one another as members of our congregation reflect on how First Parish helps them grow in love. We begin with Alma Morrison.
Am I unmuted?
Yes, you're all set.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Good morning. I confess that listening to Lynn's words just now, I struggle to remember that raising money, even for the church, and specifically canvassing, is a ministry. I'm still working at it. So I hope I'm not jarring to the mood this morning. The four of us who are speaking this morning will be telling you why our love for the church leads us to support the annual stewardship canvas by promising to give money and to be willing to talk about it. I have been a member of this church for more than 50 years. Both the town of Scituate and First Parish Church have changed a lot in this time. Back in 1968, the church had no endowment because our members for 3 centuries had mostly been, well, you might call it middle class, but those weren't terms that were used then, as far as I know. They were mostly solid small farmers, store owners, carpenters, people who fished or gathered carrageenan from the rocks along the shore. Our church had few of the wealthier shipbuilders and sea captains who lived in Cohasset, Norwell, Hingham, and Duxbury, the big, fancier looking churches we see around us. Our members bequeathed their assets to their children with nothing left over for the church. Historically, our church has not had a culture of asking much money because our members did not have very much to give. I remember explicitly being told this when I first joined the church. Now, one of the great things about this church is that we have never valued each other based on our wealth, and it's still true. We respect each other for who we are, and we share our love based on our shared values and visions and the friendships we develop in the church community. I have a personal story. As a small girl, I spent a lot of time with my grandparents on their farm in Canada. I adored them and their wonderful farm, which had not been modernized much since it was built around 1890. They had kerosene lamps, wood stoves, and an outhouse. Their telephone was on a 12-party line, and I loved counting the sequence of long and short rings that signaled which family along the unpaved road should unhook their receiver, put it to their ear, and talk into the mouthpiece to take their call. To place an outgoing call, you put the receiver to your ear, turned the bell handle twice to call the operator, and told her the number you were calling. I was terrified of the phone and having to talk to the operator, a disembodied voice I didn't know. I refused to make even an outgoing call. And even at home, we lived in a 3-story apartment house with one telephone booth for all the apartments on each floor. Needless to say, we didn't use it unless absolutely necessary. Imagine a teenage girl not using a telephone. And college wasn't any better. I called home twice a year on a payphone to say which train I'd be on so my father could meet me. I was in my 20s before I had a phone where I could easily call friends. Fast forward another 60 years, and I'm working on the pledge drive for this church. Believe me, it is my love for the church that gives me the courage to dial our phone to ask church members and friends whom I'm sure are trying to avoid talking to fundraisers, whether they have read their Canvas packet. Canvassers are trying to reach everybody this year because we need 100% of you to pitch in at least something. So we can continue our church ministries as you have come to know them. We love Pam and Beth and Stephanie. We don't want to have to cut back their hours. So now I have a microphone, not a telephone. Hi, this is Alma Morrison. Have you read your Canvas packet? It explains our financial situation. And after you've read and thought about it, please pledge generously enough to make yourself feel really good. Thank you for listening. And so now we turn to Richard Leach, a member of the Finance Committee.
Up at the top, see where it
Oh,
says life.
Am I unmuted?
You're good, Richard.
Thank you. Good morning. I've been asked to speak about what the First Parish means to me and why Jackie and I have supported our church for almost 48 years and continue to support it both financially and with our time. The church is older than the town of Scituate. The founders' first gathering in Scituate in late 1634, while the town wasn't officially established until 1636. Our church is an inclusive church, which welcomes all and strives to, quote, affirm the inherent worth and dignity of every person, end quote. This philosophy coincides with our own beliefs and is a big reason why we continue to provide our financial support. We began attending First Parish Church soon after we moved here in 1972. Our sons were born in 1974 and 1976, and were both dedicated here. Sadly, our younger son, Andrew, was buried from here over 3.5 years ago in 2017. Both our sons received their religious education in this church as well. I have in the past served as treasurer for 5 years, as well as being a member of the endowment committee, and now presently a member of the finance committee. Jackie has in the past served on the hospitality, caring, and RE committees, and during the 1980s for a term as parish committee chair. As a result of being active members, we've been fortunate to make lifelong friends with other members, including Kay Shaw, her late husband, Jack, and our very dear friend, Louise Bates. The fellowship and support our family has received from the people who make up First Parish has been very meaningful and important to our family. We are grateful to be members here, and we show our gratitude by continuing to support the mission of the church. As outlined in the packet you received in the mail regarding our stewardship canvas, our church needs your financial support. Your continuing support likewise enables our church to operate without a reduction of so much of what the church provides, whether it be Sunday services, music, religious education, or just the fellowship of other members. Working the Snowflake Fair, attending book and discussion groups, being a member of the Unity Club, and/or pastoral support are just some of the ways that members benefit from being part of the First Parish. If you have heard this request for support before, it still remains true now, and perhaps even more so during this pandemic. So if you have already pledged, we thank you. If you have not yet made a pledge, we urge you to do so. As always, we thank you for your support.
Good morning. Hi, my name is Sarah Murdoch, and I'm going to share our thoughts, my family's thoughts on what First Parish means to us. I feel like a young un after hearing Alma and the Leach's longevity in the church. But my husband and I moved to Scituate in 2001. And we had just married, and we were looking for a place to start our lives together, and came to Scituate. We both had a love for the ocean and wanted to live in a community by the sea, and that drew us to Scituate. We both worked, and we didn't have any children at the time, so connecting with our new community was definitely a challenge. We decided to try First Parish. I had been a member of the Theodore Parker UU Church in West Roxbury, and Bob was a lapsed Catholic and hadn't been to church on a regular basis since he lived with his parents. Being a part of Theater Parker in West Roxbury opened me up to what it meant to be UU, and made me realize that the UU principles were really something that connected with me and filled in me a need for a spiritual connectedness. So we tried First Parish here in Scituate and have never looked back. What we found first and foremost was a loving and supportive community. Being part of this church introduced us to a wonderful, diverse group of people in Scituate, and immediately we felt we were part of the community. We met people of all ages and families who had all age groups of children. When our son Robbie was born in 2002, he became a regular at the church as well. And I remember carrying him around at coffee hour, and many of the elder members of the church would coo over Robbie. I have fond memories of folks like Ann Weaver, Jack Shaw, Barbara Kelch, always having a kind word and connecting with Robbie. Many of the members who were around at that time have literally seen Robbie grow up into the fine young man he is now. I feel the words spoken at his dedication ceremony held true. All the members were there to support, teach, and guide him along the way. I feel so blessed that Robbie has grown up in a religious home that exposed him to a diversity of faiths and communicated to him that he is free to choose his religious beliefs and spiritual path. And Bob and I have gained a spiritual guidance and support through our membership in First Parish. We look forward to the services each week as a time to slow down, reflect on life, and take in the spiritual offerings. It's a time for me to contemplate how I have and how I will strive to live by the UU principles and our covenant. I can spend this time to ask myself, what can I improve on? What can I do to further commit myself to give back to others and to our natural world? The church has also offered us the opportunity to give back to Scituate and other regional and state organizations through community service opportunities. Coming together as a community to donate, give time, and perform community service provides us an outlet to give back to others in need. It is the First Parish community that keeps us most tied to this church. All the fun social gatherings over the years, participating in the Snowflake Fair, for me, singing in the choir has brought us joy over the years. And the opportunity to support other church members in times of need and to receive that support when needed is also a gift. For all these reasons, Bob and I choose to support the church with a significant annual donation to support all that the church has given to our family. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm so glad today to be given this opportunity to share my joy at being a member of this wonderful congregation and why I support it financially. Several years ago, my family was having difficulty finding joy and fulfillment in the church we attended. My oldest daughter made it her quest to discover something new for us that would fulfill us on many levels. Her search brought us to many various congregations, but it was here at First Parish our family voted on to join. We experienced sermons and messages that reflected how we believe, how we want the world to be, sermons that speak to us on what is happening now and how it relates to the present, the past, and the future. Sermons and themes that expose us to new thoughts and new ideas, how our belief continually evolves, and acceptance of many ideas and peoples. The rich diversity of people we saw each week at service brought us tremendous happiness and joy. The last year has been very trying for everyone on many different levels and reasons. I believe, though, that we will be able to return back to service as we knew it, and that fact sustains me. It sustains me in that I want to experience it again. I want to have a caring minister to talk in person to us, wonderful music to listen to, a fabulous RE program, a wonderful sanctuary to visit, and all the other things that are available to us. Nobody likes to ask for money or to discuss it. I never even had to consider it at my previous church. I feel the obligation to donate what I can. And do I wish it was more? I do, but I share what I can, and that's really all any of us can do. With that, I wish you all peace and joy. And now, let us sing our closing hymn together, We Would Be One.
We would be one as now we join in singing our hymn of love to pledge ourselves anew to that high cause of greater understanding of who we are and what in us is true. We would be one in living for each other to show to all a new community. We would be one in building for tomorrow a nobler world than we have known today. We would be one in searching for that meaning which binds our hearts and points us on our way. As one we pledge ourselves to greater service, with love and justice strive to make us free.
Our service is ending, but our opportunity for service, for making real the possibilities of our lives and others' lives, continues. Today, as we celebrate our church, I invite you to make a donation to our works, and if you haven't yet done so, to pledge your financial commitment for the year. And now, may these words by UU Minister Cynthia Landrum help hold you through your week. We leave this gathered community, but we don't leave our connection, our concerns, our care for each other. Our service to each other, to the world, and to our faith continues until we are together again, friends. Be strong, be well, be true, be loving. Go in peace and enjoy.